to the College Prospects Podcast with Coach. I'm your host, Donald Watson. Today, we got a great show for you today. We're going to be discussing some common mistakes that I see players, parents, families make that leave talented players that invest the time, the money, the energy, and have the talent get left out of playing college basketball. And I have 7 things that are very, very avoidable that we're going to be discussing. Those problems, those issues, and solutions to those problems and issues that you can start implementing right away that are going to give you a great opportunity, the best opportunity that you're going to have to play the game at the next level. So stay tuned. Now, before we get into that, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Wattsbball and the Watts Foundation, Game Changers for Life. If you'd like to get your kids involved in the program, you can always go to the description where you'll have links to programs from youth all the way through professional, where we take kids and basketball players and help them accomplish their dreams. If you don't have a child of your own, you can always support underprivileged kids in our program to get them in our youth development program or our college prep program. So anything that you can do to help out makes a huge difference. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button. And with that, we'll go right to the show. So once again, I want to say today's show is about talented players that I see that oftentimes have the skills and the ability, but just aren't quite there. They're missing something. Oftentimes they don't know what they're missing, and I want to make sure if you listen to this show and you take heed to what I say, that won't be you. An example, I had a kid I worked with just a little bit. I didn't work with him as much as I like to, but you're talking about a player, 6'7", averaged 25 points, 15 rebounds. His conference player of the year, and at the end of the day, he ended up at junior college. And there's nothing wrong with junior college as a continuing option, but that's not what we set out to do. We set out to try to get a 4-year scholarship to a school, and that didn't happen. And in these scenarios like this, oftentimes I can see a kid, I can watch his film, I can look at him play, and I can see like exactly what it is that he's missing, and he or her, and I can also kind of write a prescription of like what they need to do in order to get over the hump. But the crazy thing, or I guess it's not that crazy, but the hardest people to get their attention and get them over the hump are the ones who are the closest. And that's because they get the positive feedback, they get the positive recognition, they're getting hyped up, they get the tweets, they get the retweets, they get all state honors, they get, just a lot of things are in place that would make you think that, hey, you're on your way to earning a scholarship. But if you don't have, if you're missing, if you're 98% there, and you're not 100, like, it's not going to happen for you. It's that close of a thing. And then there's a lot of people out here who don't know those specifics. So today we're going to talk about some of those specifics. And the first thing is people, they want to play college basketball. They invest thousands of dollars and hours into it, and they really have no strategy. They're showing up. They try out for an AAU program. They play for an AAU program. They go to travel tournaments and circuits, but they don't have an idea or a concept as what they're going to develop, how they're going to play, what it is their strategy is to become a college basketball player. What are you showing the coaches? Understanding your timeline, that we're in September. right now, August, last part of August, as I record this show, and in November is the signing period, right? And so a lot of players they do all the things, but they don't understand that going into November of your senior year is your ideal signing period, and so they're not developing and focusing on a reduced schedule or a reduced window where they understand that their senior year, as far as it playing college basketball goes, your senior year in high school is a year that you don't want to be um, have to find exposure showcase. You want all your work and your exposure and all that stuff done ahead of that time. And then if it doesn't work out or you don't quite have the school you want, then you play through your senior year for the late signing period. So the number one thing is people don't have a strategy as far as understanding the timeline, right? Like I say, the scoreboard and the score clock, right? The scoreboard is how you're stacking up as it relates to other players, but not in the rankings of these ranking people, or I don't even know what to call them, but the people who have say Bill Allaby, Seattle's basketball services, the Brooks Report, the whoever, Prep Hoops, all like these rankings. It's not how you stack up in the rankings, it's how you stack up as it relates to how your skills translate to the next level. And I want to say there's nothing wrong with those things. And they can be good as long as they're understood for what they are. And for the most part, college coaches are not determining who they're taking, not for the most part at all. They're not determining who they're taking based on their rankings. They might go see a guy or a girl or be intrigued about somebody based on their name on the ranking list. But they're not going to offer a scholarship because somebody's ranked something. You have to have skills that translate to the next level. And that goes into my first point. So my second point. First point is they have no game plan, no understanding of what it is and how it is they're going to make it. Hey, sit down with somebody who's been there before. Take a look at the recruiting calendar. When you pick an AAU program, make sure you're going to get to play in a way to either develop the skills or where you're playing the role that you're going to play at the next level. You have to be able to show coaches, not just playing. You got to be able to show coaches what you can do for them that's going to impact winning at the next level. And your AAU team should be a platform to do that. And that's not one size fits all. It's all about finding the right fit at the right time for where you're at from your developmental needs as well as your exposure needs. So that's what I mean by getting a game plan. The second thing is you got to address holes in your game. If you're getting buckets and you're scoring and you're making the highlights and you're getting retweets and you're getting outward feedback, right? Like you think you're on your way, but you got to constantly address, it's like if I can average, 30 points a game, and I had a player who I worked with who we worked and we ended up getting Division I offers, but as a senior, he had nothing. He had no scholarship offers. Well, he was a 6'5", 6'4", really quick jumping player that scored a ton of points off of offensive rebounds and in the paint. Well, that's not how players that size score on the Division I level or even on the Division II level. So colleges might come watch him, but they're watching him get, from their standpoint, empty points in production. But from the player standpoint, he's balling. Well, it's hard for me at the time to get his attention to help him understand he needed to diversify how he was scoring and show that he can score in ways that would translate to the next level. So addressing those holes and those issues that may not be affecting you or impacting your production now, but are limiting what you're able to do at the next level as far as college coaches are concerned. And what college coaches are concerned about, because they have the money, they have the opportunities, they need the players. That's what really matters in this ball game. All right. So number one is no plan or no strategy. Number two, we're not addressing the holes in our game as it relates to production at the next level because we're so focused on our production right now. You want to avoid those mistakes. And how do you understand what it takes to be productive at the next level? It's pretty simple, man. You look at players on the college level, you study players on the college level who have similar physical and attributes as you do, and then you develop the skill sets that they have. You watch the game, you study the game, you look at who was successful that looks similar to you, that has similar attributes, that was successful before you, right? So study the game of basketball, study the college game, and then implement those things that you imagine that they put into their workouts, into your own workouts. All right, so that's number two. Number three is players are spending too much time at too early of an age in the performance mindset or performance competitive environments instead of having a healthy balance with growth environments where you're encouraged to make mistakes, in the growth mindset where you're encouraged to make mistakes, where you understand the impact of mistakes. I think oftentimes parents, coaches, we short circuit the learning or the development process by trying to be too competitive too early, or too competitive too frequently, or too competitive, I guess too frequently and too much are the same things. And they're not in environments where they can experiment and explore. And this is one thing I like to say to our players. There's a difference between playing games and having game. If you develop game and you take that to the game, it's a completely different playing experience. And what do I mean by that? Players who have game, they have skills, they have a feel, they have an understanding, and they know how to spontaneously or instinctively apply their skills to just the numerous number of game situations. Who's guarding me? The time, the score clock, all this stuff. They're players who figure things out, not on their own, but for the most part on their own. They take coaching and they apply it to the game, but they have the skills, the ability, and the understanding and the feel to apply it to situations. Players who play a lot of games look at coaches for solutions to problems real time. And if you're looking to the sideline, or you're looking for approval, if you're not totally consumed with the problems that are in front of you, with the belief that you know how to handle them, by the time you get the message from the coach, you relay it, it's too late. And so if you spend too much time in this kind of environment, you're not preparing to be a college basketball player. College coaches want people that can impact winning, that can run systems, but within those systems have the idea and the understanding of how to make the right play at the right times for the right reason, right? So there's a difference. I'll repeat, there's a difference between playing games and having game. Get game first, and then you take that to your games, and then your games actually become what we talked about before, which is a developmental experience within a competitive setting. If you don't do that, then the competitive setting forces you to restrict rather than expand. All right, so that's number three on the ways and things you can do. And then number four, and I'm gonna wrap up this show here pretty quick. We've gone over our typical 10 to 12 minute time. I'm passionate about helping you guys get yourselves to the next level. Number four is they're working with trainers, and everybody's doing the same thing. Like every trainer I see, every player I see that's posting highlights and stuff, I'm not gonna say every, I'm gonna say 90%. But think about it, only 1% go to the next level on the scholarship, Division I. 5% get to play college. 90% of the people doing the same thing, right? The people who get to go and play at the next level, I'm not talking about the 5 stars, the freak athletes, but the people who work their way there, they compete in ways that others aren't, right? Everybody can't train for a limited number of positions trying to be the primary ball handler and the primary scorer, right? Develop a niche for yourself that translates to the next level based on what I said earlier, what people who have done before you have done to be successful, right? So that's number 4. The next thing is that people don't understand exposure. They oversimplify exposure. You think you show up on your AAU team, you go play, coaches are going to see you. You're being a needle in a haystack. You're being a needle in a haystack. Thousands of AAU teams, hundreds of thousands of players. And you think a coach is just going to see, look, there's only 10 days a year now, the NCAA changed it, where college coaches can watch you with your travel team, with your AAU program, whatever you want to call it. Only 10 days, right? So you got to get emails out to coaches, but you got to do it the right way. You got to get your highlight film, get it posted on social media. Don't do it every day. Don't tag coaches every day. Don't show every point that you score. Show on your highlight film not your production in high school. Show your production in high school in ways that you believe, that you think coaches value, that are going to help you translate to your next level. Your highlight film can show coaches what you value, who you think you are, and how you think you can contribute. But if you just put everything that you can do in high school, that's not showing the coach in that 90 seconds of attention anything he's going to be intrigued by. He's going to be intrigued by things that he sees you do in high school that he believes, that you're making him believe, will translate to impacting winning on the next level. All right, so that's number 5 is the exposure piece. College elite camps, the right showcase camps with people who are credible, your social media, emailing, and then finding the right AAU program. That's not last, but finding the right fit in the right AAU program for where you're at. Not just this one's that gets the most exposure, but the one that's going to get you the most exposure when it's time, when you have game and it's time for exposure. The one that's going to get you the most development when you're in the developmental phase before the exposure stuff matters when you're at a younger age. All right. And then here's the last thing that just baffles me. People don't know what college coaches value. And this is the most simple thing to do. Parents, you can do it to understand it. Kids, you can do it to understand it. And then you could do it at different levels. Just watch college basketball. Get off your phone, turn on the TV. You got a kid who wants to play college basketball. You're investing thousands of dollars in them. Make them watch a game or two a week and tell them make them tell you what they see, because this is what should be guiding their workouts and their actions. If you turn on the TV and you listen to Jay Billis commentate a game, right? If you listen to these commentators commentate a game, they're going to tell you specifically what college coaches are looking for. They're going to tell you why guys are taken out of the game, why they're put into the game. They're going to tell you, based on the programs that you're watching, how they're recruiting guys based on their style of play. So you can get a ton of knowledge by sitting down, turning off your phone, and sitting there. And everybody has cable or streaming for all of you guys. Everybody who's getting on planes and playing, everybody has the ability to just sit down, watch, and listen in depthly to the game. It's going to do so much for you if you want to play at the next level. All right. So those are my 6 things to do. All right. Get a plan or a strategy to start so that you're not taken all over the place by people who have different opinions. Address the holes in your game. Have an idea of position you're going to play and the skills you're going to need to be successful and impact winning at the next level, don't just settle for scoring points at the level that you are in however you can score them. You want to score them in ways that you're practicing and you're training for the next level as you're playing in your high school levels, right? Spend more time in the development versus the competitive mindset. Keep that balance right, especially as you're younger, more development. As you get older, more competitive and exposure. But if you haven't done the first thing first, then it doesn't matter. So you need the development even if you're older and you didn't do it younger, all right? Stop training the same way as everybody else. Discover a niche. Figure out how you're going to get there. Specialize in something. Be better than anybody you've ever seen at your level at something that translate to the next level. Guarantee yourself a scholarship, all right? And then take a step back and truly understand what exposure is, the timelines, and the opportunities that are there for you to get in front of college coaches and maximize all of them. I know money can be, an issue, but put your money where the biggest bang for your buck is. If you need help with any of this, remember, links in the descriptions. You guys can get to me. I'll help you with this stuff. I help players. I help families break this thing down. That's what we do at Wattsbball. And then, like I said, last and finally, just turn on the TV and watch a couple games a week. College basketball games, right? Get 2 college basketball games. And don't watch them as a fan. Study them. Watch it. Get on that court. Put yourself on that court. Like you are gonna be there in 2 years. You are gonna be there in 3 years, right? So how are they handling situations? Right? How would you handle them differently? How are you training the next day to put yourself in that position, realizing how small the court is, how physical it is, all of those things. And if you can, get to college basketball practice. Do some unofficial visits, all right? Here's another thing about exposure. This is the bonus tip, all right? Reach out to college coaches. Let them know you're interested in their program. You're going to be on campus and you'd like to come see them work out. If you get feedback, give them your resume, right? If you get feedback and they say, oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, we'll tour. Then, you got your foot in the door. That doesn't mean you're going to get a scholarship, but that means they're going to either you got it or you don't, and they're going to know who you are, and they might come watch you during the summer if you're close enough to what they're looking for. So you're opening up doors and opportunities by doing those kind of things. All right, so that's the end of the show. Let me know what you think. Like I said, we went a little long today, super passionate. I think it was an important episode to get all that out there off of my chest onto you so that you can go make the most of the opportunities, make the most of your talent, make the most of your ability. If you enjoy the show, please hit that subscribe button. Like I said before, the show is sponsored by Wattsbball and the Watts Foundation. Links to get involved in our program or to sponsor an underprivileged kid in our program are in the show descriptions. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you later in the week. Coach Watts out.